People are sick, people are coughing, the food situation continues to be horrible. These are human beings. These are people who are taken out of our communities and are being held there. On your dime, on the American taxpayers' dime, it was described as a slaughterhouse in there by one of the detainees.
When we left out of there, a detainee told us this is not the America that we dreamed of. Back in their countries, they thought they would be able to come here and have a better life. These are not people who committed crimes that our president, our lying president, continues to say. They are here on work visas. Some work visas not even expired, and they're in there on student visas, literally inside of a jail with approval from this country to be here.
Representatives LaMonica McIver and Rob Menendez of New Jersey sounding the alarm about the conditions inside the ICE facility Delaney Hall in Newark. They visited this morning in the wake of the death of a detainee being held there, 41-year-old John Wilson Brutus. The two Congress members were able to conduct their oversight visit after a judge blocked the Trump administration's months-long attempt to prevent members of Congress from visiting ICE facilities. The Trump administration had attempted to prevent lawmakers from visiting ICE facilities just weeks after Representatives McIver and Menendez, who, full disclosure, is my brother, along with Congresswoman Bonnie Watson-Coleman and Newark Mayor Ras Baraka, attempted to visit Delaney Hall back in May. What should have been a routine visit turned into a skirmish after the lawmakers attempted to intervene and prevent Mayor Baraka from being arrested. Congresswoman McIver was later charged with assault. Today was her first time returning to Delaney Hall since that scuffle. Let's bring in Congresswoman LaMonica McIver, Democrat of New Jersey. Congresswoman, tell me why you decided to return to Delaney Hall today.
Well, thank you so much, Alicia, for having me on. We went there because, as you mentioned, there was a death there. A 41-year-old Mr. Brutus from Haiti died in 24 hours of being, brought to that facility. And so we had a lot of questions. We wanted to know what was going on, what happened. And so we decided to return there, along with many other complaints that we continue to receive about this detention center. Residents who tell me of the 10th Congressional District that they cannot visit their loved ones. Attorneys who tell me that they are having trouble, speaking with their clients, and, the families who are inside of this detention center say they're not getting adequate food and the conditions of the facility. And so me and my colleagues decided to return there for another oversight visit.
I want to read you what a local paper wrote about Mr. Brutus's death inside that facility. Brutus was not in distress when he was being admitted to Delaney Hall. He had no medical history of cardiovascular issues, I said. He died of natural causes, according to ICE. Witnesses said the ambulance taking Brutus to University Hospital in Newark was delayed for 5 minutes at the Delaney Hall gate because a van transporting new detainees into the facility was allowed through first. In addition, ICE didn't inform the public of Brutus's death within 2 business days, as is required by law. Which questions did you go in with? Which questions remain unanswered?
Well, first of all, we went in asking questions about what was his medical emergency, how long did they, wait to call EMT, how fast did EMT come? Many of the questions that we got answered were very vague. They were not direct. It got to a point that one ICE representative was like, we're not going to talk about this anymore because it's an open investigation. And many of the questions that we were asking too were general questions about, hey, what is your process for contacting family members when a loved one is in distress, experiencing medical distress? What do you do? They're like, oh, we called the family that night. Well, those answers that they gave us does not line up to what we've heard from the family and friends of Mr. Brutus. So definitely very concerning, right? I'm looking forward to this investigation being, completed. I know that the family has obtained lawyers and they should do so. I think honestly, they should have an independent autopsy as well, because at the end of the day, you just cannot trust what is coming out of this DHS and, these ICE representatives. You can't trust what they're saying. And of course, they're going to say, hey, we think he died from natural causes. A 41-year-old healthy man who came there under no distress at all with no medical condition dies less than 24 hours of being in this facility. It's very, very concerning.
Congresswoman, there is what happened to Mr. Brutus, and there is what is happening to all of the detainees and their families inside Delaney Hall. What did you see with your own eyes? What did you hear with your own ears that you want all of us who do not have the same oversight capacity, who cannot just show up and get to see what is happening there? What do you want us to know about what's happening inside Delaney Hall with our taxpayer dollars?
Well, the one thing I want people to know is that this facility should be closed. We have seen time after time that this facility has had incidents, even leading back a couple of months ago where they had an entire riot because detainees were not receiving food, and detainees escaped from that location. And now, fast forward months later, we see that they have a death that occurred in their, facility. And this facility should be closed. They should not be operating. I think the most hurtful part past me being traumatized of being back there, right, was the fact of speaking to over 20 detainees today who told us, one, they have no criminal record. Right. So we know everything that comes out of this president's mouth is a lie about their going after the most dangerous criminals. Two, many of them picked up from immigration hearings, from going to court, meeting with immigration officials. They were then literally arrested and detained. Many of them on approved work visas, student visas that have not expired, have been literally detained and continue to be detained for doing nothing illegal. Many of them were going through the right process, the proper process to be in this country legally. And this DHS and this president is arresting folks for doing the right thing. And so I want people to know that. I don't want people to think that everyone in these facilities are hardcore criminals or rapists or murderers like this administration continues to lie about, because they are not. They are hardworking folks who are here legally, working hard, going to school, and literally kidnapped and arrested and behind bars and cages in this facility. Many of them, talk to us about not getting enough food, only having 5 minutes to eat in some cases, getting food that was molded, that was spoiled, not having access to health care. Literally, for a person to go to the doctor, Alicia, they have to fill out a request via paper or a tablet. If you have the ability to use a tablet, and they have to wait weeks. Some of them still not able to see a doctor. I mean, just awful conditions. Women who told us that, when they're on their menstrual cycle, they give them 2 pads, 2 sanitary napkins a day, Alicia. And if they want more, the officials ask them, why do you need more? You're not getting any more. What did you do with the 2 we gave you for the day? I mean, come on, how insane is that? These are the conditions that they are up against. They told us that they start feeding breakfast, Alicia, at 4:30 a.m. 4:30 a.m. a person has to wake up to go and eat breakfast. I mean, and then lunch is at 10, and then dinner maybe at 4. Well, detainees told us the time shift every day. They don't know when they're going to eat. They're never on schedule. And so to hear these stories from these detainees, one man who was in there and his wife is serving in the United States Navy. I mean, these are the stories that we heard today that was quite frankly heartbreaking to hear from these detainees. It is just wrong. And it's all about money. It's all about cruelty with this administration. Many of them have told us that this is like their 3rd or 4th facility that they have been sent to. Many of them who have signed the voluntary deportation, that you see Chris on commercials, parading about, like, hey, $3,000 if you go back willingly to your country. Well, they've been signed that for months, and they're still waiting to go back to their country. So it's awful, just awful circumstances, awful situation.
Congresswoman LaMonica McIver, thank you for continuing to show up. Thank you for joining us today to tell us what you saw. We're going to sneak in a quick break.